Hi, I'm Gigi Chung.
And I'm Justine Williams.
This podcast is about the evolution of carnivorous plants.
There are not many carnivorous plants in the world compared to the vastness of the plant kingdom. How did they come to evolve this trait that allows them to do far more than just photosynthesize and absorb nutrients from the soil? According to scientists, the evolutionary path to carnivorism in plants is very narrow, but what we need to do first to answer this question is observe an example of these plants themselves. One of the most common of those meat-eating plants, also referred to as insectivorous, next to the Venus flytrap is the pitcher plant. The pitcher plant has the largest carnivorous family in the plant kingdom, it appearing naturally in many places, including America, Australia, and Asia.
The pitcher plant has a waxy pitcher-like chamber, hence the name, in which its prey is lured into and cannot escape. This pitcher is usually 40 or more centimeters deep and can hold up to 2 liters of flesh-digesting fluid. Inside the pitcher, the air is thicker than the outside, preventing the pitcher plant's prey from being able to escape. Most pitcher plant species have a long neck at the top and a wider bottom, this accommodation making it much harder for the insect to go back out. Working together with the dense air inside a plant, this is how the pitcher plant catches its prey.
Despite this diet of insects that gives these organisms their fame, they are still plants. Though they do sustain themselves off a diet of bug nutrients, carnivorous plants still photosynthesize and absorb nutrients through their roots. Even though these plants do exhibit similar behaviors, they are not part of the animal kingdom, but the plant family.
The reason for this evolutionary path, as mentioned, is very narrow, as the samples taken by scientist Victor A. Albert, a biologist at the University at Buffalo, were described to have a genetic toolkit, and they're trying to come up with an answer. In the end, they all came up with the same solution. This solution was to become carnivorous, but what was the problem?
The problem was prevalent in most of the plant species observed was that they grew in areas of low soil nutrients. The most lacking nutrient that these plants look for is nitrogen, and that's vital for the creation of DNA and protein.
On a genetic level, this change from being a harmless plant to a first-rate hunter is strangely simple to understand. During evolution, the building blocks of enzymes, amino acids, are often swapped out with other amino acids that perform similar actions. Eventually, the amino acid or enzyme combinations developed an enzyme that allowed for these plants to be able to digest nutrients from insects or other living species. This enzyme gave the plants the ability to secrete their own digestive fluids to digest its prey's nutrients.
Even though the understanding of this evolutionary trait is relatively easy to understand, there is one thing left that we as people are not quite sure about, which is what had kickstarted this amino acid enzyme switch to be what the plant adopted, as opposed to evolving in another way that perhaps just required less nutrients to survive. Scientists believe that earlier ancestors of these carnivorous plants lived near salt water, and they evolved a method to get rid of the excess salt from their leaves, which then eventually evolved into the ability to create digestive fluids.
Even though the specifics of this evolutionary pattern, however, are unknown though, because plants, unlike animals or insects, do not contain bone or other physical factors that fossilize easily. We do know a lot about these plants though, due to their present-day descendants, such as, because these are flowering plants, these plants' origins cannot be much older than 125 million years old, giving us a time frame to look in for more information. We also know, even though it's a bit obvious, that these plants evolved after insects first appeared on Earth.
Even though we are fascinated by these amazing plants, we do not know much about them.
Hopefully, we will learn more about these master trappers in the near future. Thank you for listening.